Hello, Wapplers from around the world. This is the September 2023 Wappler Meetup. We meet on the first Friday of every month, 4 o'clock Netherlands time. You can keep tabs on the meetup events in the forum. If you have a favorite Wappler feature, a trick, something interesting you've developed you want to share with the community, please reach out to me on the forum. You can find me as Mark1. I thank you all for joining us today. We're going to feature the Wappler 6.0.0 beta, and we have Wappler enthusiast Mr. Brian English from the UK to walk us through what's going on. Take it away, Brian.
Hi, everyone. This has just been dropped on my toes 2 minutes ago, so I don't actually have anything prepared. Just give you the background. I've basically I'm retired now, so Wappler is my toy. As a result, I've been doing a lot of work on new features within Wappler 6 beta. I was approached by George some time ago to try and cover as much as we could about CouchDB and PouchDB. And I don't know whether you've seen, I've put a fair bit out about that recently, and I've got another big one to come out this weekend now that all of the bugs have been or appear to be straightened out for the latest beta. And also, of course, we've had our latest flow change, the server flow, which has just literally dropped on our laps with yesterday's update. So I think they are the two big changes. Probably the best way of doing this is if anybody has any questions, then please ask them, because say I don't have anything prepared for this. I'm sort of ad-libbing and winging it as we go along. Otherwise, I can just do a quick demo through what we've got, but I'd really just be showing, I think, things that you've already seen yourselves if you've used beta 4. So we'll start with anybody got any questions?
I'm going to, you want to share your screen? I'm going to make you a co-host so you can do that. You should see that now.
Yep. So you want me to share Wappler screen? Yep.
If that's what you'd like to do.
Well, yeah. Bear in mind, I haven't got anything prepared here, Mark. So I'm making up as I go along. Let's maybe first have a look at this new flow that's been introduced in the latest beta. And I confess I have some concerns about this. I used this as an example on the forum of a server action. I was asked to some 4 or 5 years ago to do a quite big API integration into a student letting and accommodation site. And it was a really complex API involving everything from prices, room sizes, energy efficiency certificates, power usage, a lot of data, which they wanted to do a daily update on to update their pricing catalogs, etc. So it ended up a pretty big API action. As you can see, it's probably the longest single API action that I've done to date.
Brian, I'll tell you one thing. Paul would be very proud.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I mean, bear in mind, my background is database. I didn't start life as a web developer or anything. I first started doing database management systems back in about 1985 in the days of DBase 2. So I've very much come from a server side background. I tend to be the guy that people come to when they've got a website or a web app, but they struggle with the technicalities on the back end. I'll come in, I'll put things on track for them, or write a few API actions to manage to do what to do. So this is the area where I'm comfortable. It's the area where I tend to live. And I'm very happy with going through this. I can, scan it. I can see the different actions, the conditions. And of course, we have the options to close these down. So this quite sizable API action actually becomes visible. I can scan it, etc. If we go into this flow action, I'm going to just zoom out as much as my eyes will allow me to. And that's another story. I'm almost blind in my left eye at the moment. I'm really not sure how well I could cope with developing. I know we can close these things down to some degree and get a view, but I think I would find this rather difficult to work with, to be honest. I fed this back to George, a suggestion I'd made, and I'll be interested in feedback. And this is, if we could keep this view and use it a bit like the app panel that we have in App Connect, and as we select each of our areas within that, another panel would open up on the right where we'd see that particular portion of code within a flow view. And I think that would make it a lot more manageable than what's currently proposed. So as we selected the right areas, this would effectively become automatic, that this panel would open up and it would show us the appropriate code. I don't know where we're going to go on this. This is we all only found out about this yesterday, so there's a lot of discussion, no doubt, to take place. I'd be very interested in other people's comments on this and just what you think might be a solution or suggestions that we can put forward to the Wappler team, if anybody's got any.
I haven't used it yet, but is the flow just a diagram reviewing what the code says, or do you actually click on the flow to make edits? How does
Oh,
that
you actually can add your items directly in. So let's say we want to add an action in. You can see these plus signs appear.
Oh, beautiful.
And you can add, it looks beautiful. It really does. And for a 3 or 4 action API action, yeah, it's great. It looks good. And so we have the ability to zoom in and out. So we can get a reasonable amount on the page. It's for probably nerds like me that like to write things like this, where it sort of falls down a bit.
For me, it reminds me a lot what we can see in Power Automate in the Microsoft Suite. So they've got this kind of flows you can develop there, and the interface is quite similar.
Yeah, I've no doubt that the team have implemented somebody else's code from elsewhere. That's what they tend to do. They tend to do integrations. So it may well be that they all start with the same roots. But either way, it looks great. I love the look of it, but I'm just not quite sure how well I would work with it.
So looking at version 6, what do you see the major features coming down the pipeline?
Well, I think that the 2 big ones, I'm just going to have to leave you just for 1 second, if that's okay.
Take your time.
Give me 1 moment. Hi, folks, I'm back. Yeah, that's the big ones seem to be obviously Couch and Pouch DB. And I've put out quite a few videos on that up till now. And they say I've got another one which will go out over the weekend, which will basically be an app where the user uses a Pouch DB on their device or their screen. We have a Couch DB sitting in the middle, and then we actually then have a link, a replication through to a MySQL database. Would have been released 2 weeks ago, but the very last piece of code, I hit a bug and I've had to wait for the team to fix that. And of course, we now have the new, I forget what you call it, query builder that they're introducing, and I've completely forgotten what they called it. I'm just going to move out from that because that's a live site, and I'm actually in a minute. I'm just careful I don't corrupt anything into just a test. We have this new, really winging this, guys.
Oh, great.
Yeah, where we've got our dynamic events. when we're going to this now, we've got a completely new, if I can find where it is, a new way of doing things. And I'll pick one of the ones where it doesn't do it, but you get a completely different action picker, which allows you to set conditions. And I say I haven't really used it, I'll be honest, so I can't show you in any detail about it. And if I can remember which components used it, I would probably be able to demonstrate that far better. My apologies. And of course, we have the Couch and Pouch DB, which is managed totally through the resource manager. I'm just going to pop into that. So here within the resource manager, we can just literally pop up database services, MySQL, Maria, Postgre, Couch and Redis, and manage them on a cloud basis. So locally, that's a cloud basis based on Docker, a local Docker container. And as you deploy, then obviously you're going to deploy to your cloud provider, DigitalOcean or whatever. I'll not, unless anybody wants to talk through how Pouch and Couch actually work. I'll not bore you with that because the videos there available if anybody wants them.
Where can other Wapplers find your videos, Brian?
They're on the YouTube channel.
The Wappler YouTube channel?
Yep, I'll just pop that up and then you can see YouTube. Right, so we've got a YouTube channel. We've got using the resource manager to create local cloud droplets was the original series. And that introduces you to how to use the resource manager itself. And then somewhere else here. Sorry, guys, but where on earth have they gone? Sorry about this. There should be about another 5 videos here.
Definitely there, Brian, because I was watching them earlier. Just click on videos there. There you go. Couch DB, Pouch DB.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah. And there's the video. So it's there on the YouTube channel. And I say I've got another one which is about, sorry guys, about an hour and a half long, which goes right through from creating at your app end and your server end. It's based on the idea of leaving reviews for products, a little bit like Google reviews or Trustpilot, etc. So we have an administration end which will produce just show you some of the screens that they're a bit crude, but the administration screens where the admin user, the adminer, shall we call it, will be able to produce add products into it, and then people will feed back their reviews on it. So if we start with an admin, they'll use a product page, they'll produce products, they put products on the internet, that goes into a MySQL database, that then gets replicated to a Couch database, which then replicates automatically to a Pouch database at the end user. The end user will then be able to see those, be able to add notes to the products, so they'll be able to select the products. So I'll just find the right screens here. They go in and select a product, then they'll be able to leave a review for that product. That product, then that product review is, well, would be held in PouchDB until the data connection is there. That would then automatically replicate to a CouchDB database. Then I've used a action queue system so that you can then replicate those changes that have been made that are in the CouchDB back into your MySQL database by using a changelog queue. And I say it's literally the last action was to clean out that changelog queue, and we found an error in the database delete action for CouchDB. So that came to a stop. So that will literally come out this weekend. There's not really much more I can think of off the top of my head, guys, as to.
We do have a question, Brian.
Yeah, sure, please.
The question
I'm struggling here to make things up.
You're doing great, and your work of going in and finding the bugs so they can be fixed for the whole community is it's a real you're a Wappler hero, that's for sure. The question is, with the new betas coming out, is how does it work to be able to use a stable version and a beta version at the same time, where you're not messing with your live sites and your stable version? How does that work?
If it worked, this is the latest bug that I've submitted, which they've got a fix for, but I don't know when they're going to release it. Is you actually have to change the extensions channel here. Now there should be a drop down there to switch between stable and beta, and the latest beta 4 that seems to have evaporated. And there's also, you've got the enable experimental features, which allows you to use the new features such as Couch and Pouch and the new flow editor, but that actually isn't saving at the moment. But if I just go out of Wappler completely, let's just close it and open 5.8.2, we should be able to see that setting change. So I believe it still works there. But yeah, I mean, we've got to expect bugs, and we're in beta software here. We've got to expect bugs. I was a little bit surprised on this one, but yeah, this is how we switch between stable and beta. I would suggest to anybody, don't use beta for anything in production at the moment, because there are some issues there. But if you want to investigate the new features of 6 beta, you need to be selecting the beta channel there, and you're going to be enabling your experimental features as well.
You go back and forth all the time. And you feel confident that it's safe to go into beta with?
Yeah, I mean, I'm confident that it does. I mean, what I would suggest is people should work in stable and only switch into beta really when they've got a bit of downtime and they want to try out some of the new features. Because certainly the likes of Couch and Pouch, I would not still class as fully production ready yet.
Right. It's leading edge, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's clever stuff. It's very, very cleverly implemented, I might add. But there's still a few gremlins, or there certainly were gremlins in there until yesterday. I really haven't had a chance to run through them all to see how well they have been ironed out.
So switching back and forth from stable to beta, would you? Obviously, you're not going to open up any live sites in the beta mode, but would you?
It's okay, because if you're in beta mode and you open a site, you will be prompted for the updates. So for instance, let's see if we can do that. Stable. Excuse me. Now if I open that up again. See if I can get it to do it. No, it's not. I think most of the stuff that I've got is going to be quite happy sitting where it is. It would normally pop up that update box. Hang on, we can. This one, haha. So you can see the channel that you're in here. So if you've forgotten to switch back into stable and you open it in beta, you will get this prompt. and you will be able to see the reason for the prompt, and generally it'll be because you've forgotten to. So you have the option to change the channel when you open your site.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
so
excellent.
you don't need to worry about accidentally opening it and moving a whole site into the beta platform. You do get that prompt before you do that.
Excellent. So in the roadmap of 6.0, what do you see coming down the pipeline?
Ooh, I know what I would like to see. There's a few things that they could polish up. I think the addition of App Connect extensions, I think, is still a little bit complicated for a lot of people. That would be good. I would like to see more work done on databases. That's the where role. I mean, in the roadmap that they released last year, they talked about being able to import and export data from databases. Now, I spend a lot of time jumping between production and development, and sometimes I want to be able to replicate data from one to the other, or indeed replicate data from one site to another. And one of the things that was suggested would be that we'd have a button down here which would allow us to export, do a SQL dump of your data, and then be able to pull that back into your database manager, either in another site or in another target, to be able to tidy them up. And that still hasn't come yet. I was told, I'm sure this used to work, but at one time, yeah, we could view and fetch data. In fact, that seems to have worked. That's Wappler 8. I've been able to pull data from a database in a production environment. I put in a bug report the other day saying couldn't do that in Wappler 6 beta, and was told that you shouldn't be able to do that, and they're going to take the button away, which is a bit irritating. So I think it's important to be able to actually look at what data is there on the server after you've done work, or particularly if you've got a bug. And if we can't visualize that data in Wappler, then we're going to have to fall back onto our old friends like Navicat or Heidi or whatever to be able to view that data. I think that would be a step backwards, personally.
But, thank you, Brian. We have another question about converting a project to be a base template for future projects. Can you give us the best practices in Wappler in order to accomplish that?
Just quickly switching on brain, trying to work out how I would do that. So you're talking about basically a template site. So you'll be able to create a basic template and then be able to pull that template back down and then make the appropriate modifications to be able to customize it. I think really the only realistic way to do that for me would be to pop it into a Git repository. So if you were committed to a Git repository, then you can literally open that repository at any time and just create a complete new site from that. And then you can treat it as a completely new site. Obviously, you have to change the Git repository name, etc. I've tried that with just saving the actual directory and just copying it. And I've had problems with that in terms of the project settings. I think it sometimes gets a little confused whether it's using the template site or the original one. So that isn't one that I've actually had any success with. So I think the answer to that would be Git repository, push it up onto an external Git, and then just pull it down and modify it accordingly after that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So,
I feel like I'm in a job interview here, Mark.
you're doing great, Brian. I can't wait to talk to Paul about your server action. That's going to be a fun conversation. We had, I want to apologize for running late. We launched Zoom to start the meeting today, and the Zoom update crashed, and but we got that all taken care of. We're back online. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. want to thank Brian for walking us through the beta, and for not only that, Brian has been a super Wappler enthusiast from the beginning. He's got tons and tons of videos on very step-by-step details on how to build things on the Wappler YouTube channel. And he's also, Brian, like a host of other Wapplers, also very busy on the forum answering questions, especially for new users. So I want to thank Brian for all of your support to this community. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And I want to point out, I'd like to invite all the Wapplers watching this to join us on the first Friday of every month, 4 o'clock Netherlands time, for Wappler meetups. I thank you all for joining us today, and I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day and your weekend. Take good care. We'll talk to you soon.